Broadcasting live from the Temple of Enlightenment on the plain of Theros, it's Tap Tap Concede. I'm your host, Nelson, joined by
Cameron
and
Kathleen.
And today we're going to take a look back at the year 2019 and discuss all of the things that happened in Magic.
Ooh, prepare
Wow.
for medium warm takes.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
We're only going to talk about a few of the things. We're not going to be here all day.
We
So-
finally killed Modern, everyone.
That's right. But first, we'd like to thank our sponsors. With CardKingdom.com sponsoring this podcast. Check out CardKingdom.com. They are a great place to buy Magic the Gathering products, among other things. Oh, that slogan's way too long.
Don't let our sarcasm fool you.
Yes, CardKingdom.com, a beautiful, clean place to storm out. You can get sealed product if it's out of print anywhere in the world from Card Kingdom. You can also get Magic singles from them. And if you use the affiliate code, cardkingdom.com/LRR, that lets them know that we sent you there. And if you type into the box, LRR sent me button, please, they'll send you a little 1-inch button that says something like tap, tap, unsleeve.
Yeah, it's some kind of witticism from us. I'm pushing hard from BRB, gotta go, emerge a distending mindbender.
Oh no, that's too long for a 1-inch button.
You might be able to
It's
soon
too-
get... Go ahead.
It's too large for a lot of 1-inch things, too.
Oh, boy.
How about we make a larger button that says that? It's a special where you get a 3-inch button.
In
Yeah,
2020,
it's-
maybe only in April, you get a 4-inch button.
With a poop joke on it.
And a little ribbon so people really notice it.
Yeah.
The ribbon is just an arrow pointing to it.
CardKingdom.com, we tried. And this episode and all our stuff is also brought to you by you, our lovely supporters at patreon.com/loading ready run. Thank you for keeping the lights on, getting us to do stuff, forcing us to get out of bed every morning and put on clothes.
I'm wearing sweatpants. I
Why do
barely
you-
dressed.
Why do you keep doing this? You did this.
Please, thank you. I thank you though.
You know what you did.
Yeah, if it wasn't for this, I would have ordered a pizza already.
Well, don't
So
let us
meta.
stop.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's get going.
Here,
I would have just
here's
given up
my
by
phone.
noon.
Thank you, Patrons, for allowing us to order pizza when we need it. Okay, so we got a lot of things to discuss here. James, what should we
Yes.
start discussing?
All right, so as Nelson said, I actually asked Twitter, what kind of stuff would you like us to talk about when it comes to everything Magic in 2019, questions about stuff that happens, or just things that you want us to ramble on about for some amount of time. So unprompted, with very little work done beforehand, I'm just going to ask questions of our panelists here.
Ooh.
And you can do your best to answer these questions.
The special James hosts.
Yeah.
episode.
Question number 1. What was your favorite set of the year? That's an easy one. Start slow.
Sure.
What was your favorite set of this year? It could be a standard set or a supplemental set or just something neat.
I actually really liked War of the Spark. I liked War of the Spark sealed because I put together a very functional deck that had like 4 creatures in it.
That's
And you
cool.
don't often get to do that in limited environments.
It was a unique set for that.
That's
Yeah.
true.
I understand it's not well regarded because it broke a bunch of things, but I felt within its own little sandbox, it did a good job.
Looking back across the sets of the year, it's honestly, I think it's one of the least bad offenders for like this set produced cards that are broken. Right?
Yeah, like I mean, there's Modern Horizons.
Yeah, it gave us Teferi 3, but yeah, he's just part of the bad boy crew of 2019. He's not
Yeah.
even the front runner, right?
No.
Teferi 3 still legal.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't say that of the beloved Planeswalker from my favorite set of the year, which I honestly really liked Throne of Eldraine. I thought
Yeah.
it was really fun. I liked the limited environment, the small amount that I got to play. The arena issues notwithstanding, there is a big variety of fun, interesting decks, and also like it is a format where blue-black control is good, and you know what? It was good.
Yeah.
Blue
Yeah.
Black Control really is good in that format. I
Man,
liked it. Yeah.
is there any better feeling than picking up a Sir Conrad
Yeah, that's messed up.
in Eldraine Limited?
Yeah.
Multiple times this year, I got to flash in the 6-mana 7/7 snake and block with it. It just feels so dirty.
Sumptuous.
Yeah.
Yeah, like here's my win con. I should have to tap out for it, but instead it's also just a terror. Like this is fair. Yeah. So yeah, blue black pretty good in Throne of Eldraine. My favorite set was Ravnica Allegiance. I felt just the happiest getting to draft this set. As opposed to the other sets of this year, it gave me the most fun in draft. There was a fair bit of depth. Obviously, like you're usually going to end up a guild deck, but there was a Gates deck where you could splash and play all the bombs or whatever.
Actually, yeah, Allegiance had more variety for like it was like less just like locked into the guilds. I found.
Yeah,
Then
Yeah.
Like if you were Orzhov or Gruul, your decks probably looked pretty similar from time to time, or from and probably Rakdos too. Like most of those decks were pretty samey, but if you were playing Azorius, there was a bunch of different things you could do.
Yeah.
and the Simic, Simic
like
decks
the
were
Azorius
either
deck.
like a regular Simic deck or they were like the Gates.
can I change my answer and can
No.
I just say Ravnica Allegiance just because I love Ravnica so much?
Yeah, no, that's totally fair.
I think it's
Like,
my favorite plane.
Get off the podcast.
I mean, I also actually enjoyed putting together the Maverick blue-black deck in Ravnica Allegiance that played.
oh yeah, I forgot about that.
That played the Chili Boy, and then like the Spectacle black card
Yeah.
that drew a card.
Yeah, I think I watched. Or that's blue red, isn't it? Or sorry, that draws one card. Yes,
Yeah.
the 3/2, the Blade Juggler.
Yeah, Blade Juggler
Right.
and Chill Ghost.
Yeah. Wheeler showed me that deck
Yeah.
once, and it's just like blue black, mostly kind of flying or value.
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
you like
Secret
pick up,
Dimir. I think Shuhei maybe invented it.
yeah, and then there was also like the IGI deck
Oh,
that you only
yeah.
played in Arena because playing it in paper was awful because keeping track of your life total you needed like a very long sheet
Right.
of paper.
It was strong though, like just
yeah.
playing all ill-gotten, not ill-gotten gates, but ill-gotten inheritance.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, as you said, the Gates deck where you just got to resolve that enormous golem.
Yeah.
who-
Or the sheep. I
yeah.
put together constructed sheep.
Okay, so any format where we could play blue-black control
yeah,
is
as
what
it
we've
turns out,
determined.
yeah.
All of them. Next question.
All right, drilling a little bit further down into the what was your favorite questions of the year. What was your favorite card this year? What card really stood out to you from all the sets that came out in 2019?
I think I'm compelled to say Judith.
Judith.
Judith, she's just best blood artist. If she was 1 mana cheaper, Judith.
But I mean,
I mean, you can't. There's no universe in which this could cost any less.
you're already
She's
paying
great.
a regular rate for Glorious Anthem. Plus, you get a body and a blood artist.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
what's
such
not
a good
to
deal.
love?
Yeah.
The card that I really wanted to play with more was Ral Zarek, the rare.
Which
Ral
one?
Zarek.
The Warspark Ralzeric?
Yes.
I also thought I was going to end up playing that card a ton and playing it in a combo deck in Standard, and then that just never materialized. It was actually way harder to pull off than I thought.
Yeah,
when
well,
I
like-
first looked at it.
I mean, in Limited, I loved playing the Ral Zarek and then copying
The signature spell, or just
uh,
proliferate?
Yeah, the card that proliferated and drew you a card.
Oh yeah, that's
So
fantastic.
you drew 2 cards and then put
the counters back on.
Yeah, that felt awesome.
and you pinged them, right? Or
Yeah.
something? Yeah, that's fantastic.
Oh yeah, I mean, it did nothing, but it felt good.
My favorite card was Ephemerate. And I mean, that's my answer this week. I've been playing that card a ton in Highlander lately. But that card is pretty messed up, and certainly I don't think it's going to get banned in Pauper, but it pushed some Pauper archetypes a bit, and it's just so much better than all of its counterparts. Like I went to put together a Bant Blink deck, and I ended up cutting all the rest of the Blink cards because this one is just like 4 times as good as them.
Yeah. The fact that it's an instant, so it saves one of your creatures.
Well, that part's normal. Like the
Right.
Cloud Shift and the
they all instants?
they're usually instants. They're not all of them, but like Momentary Blink is an instant, Cloud Shift is an instant. The Eldritch Moon one that also pumps a spirit is an instant.
right.
But this one, just the fact that you get 2 for only 1 mana, is wild. And
It's so efficient.
and the interaction it has with Eternal Witness and Archaeomancer,
Oh,
similar
right.
similar creatures, along with Rebound, just happens to be like really powerful enough that it's like a lock.
Right. Like the is this just a better version of the Cryptic Command Eternal Ewit?
Kind of. I mean, yeah, that deck from Modern like also sort of relies on Ether Vial, but it's similar. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. My familiarity with it is just from the Canadian Highlander format, where for only like 6 total mana, you can set up a lock with Time Walk and Eternal Witness, and then you only have to even pay like parts of those mana after you've done it. So it's almost comparable to the like Time Vault Key lock. The pieces are obviously a bit more fragile. We have a 2/1 creature in there, but yeah, it just does a lot of other things too. Like if you're
Right.
playing good targets for it, it's just extremely efficient.
So like Resto Angel good?
Yeah, that,
Okay.
I would say. I'd say Ephemerate is close to as good as Resto Angel. I think that's a fair
Wow.
comparison.
Wow,
In that deck anyway. Yeah.
amazing.
Do you have a favorite card? Yeah.
Well, I don't play. I'm very busy, and I've been very, very, very busy this year. So I've only played a little bit of Magic, and so for me, it's just like, what card was I always happy to see when I pulled it because like it was gonna do something and make me happy and like maybe turn my game around. M20 was this year, right?
Yep.
There's so much Magic this year.
So much. So many
sets.
releases.
So go with me on this journey. Have you ever resolved Soul Salvage and not been like pretty happy about it?
No. Soul Salvage always feels good.
Feels
And that
great.
deck is super fun to play. That sort of grindy black advantage deck.
With the Scholar.
Yeah, and maybe
yeah,
your
yeah.
game, or maybe you have the life gain version of it, and the Soul Salvage will like get you back. I was always like, yeah, right.
That's,
And
that's legit.
I mean, like, Soul Salvage felt good to resolve. It felt awful on the other side of the table
yeah,
when you had like gotten your opponent's 2 best creatures finally, and they Soul Salvage them back, and you're just like, oh, I have lost this game.
Especially if you have like one of them is a creature that can get the Soul Salvage back. It's resolving Soul Salvage and then saying go, and then when your opponent's just done that and then you don't have an attack, it kind of feels like the Jace +2, look at the top card of your library and leave it there.
Yeah, where
Right.
you're just like,
It's a little bit of this feeling of just like, I'm just going to spend my turn filling my hand up.
Although the worst Jace +2 I've ever experienced was my opponent looking at the top card of my library and giving me one of these,
like a little like confused grimace.
yeah, like, and saying, I want to see where you're going with this.
oh, the shade.
It turned out I was going nowhere.
Oh yeah, but that was part of like the world's. That is my personal like least favorite standard environment.
Yeah.
Next, moving on from dark memories, let us look ahead.
All right. So, okay, this is a question that could probably span an entire episode of basically anything out there right now. But obviously, we all use Twitter. We all use Reddit. What do you think the effects of those kind of social platforms has on Wizards' decisions makings? Ooh. Like of what you saw this year. Where do you stand on social media and how it affects what Wizards does?
I have a complicated thought about this because I never have simple thoughts about anything. But one of the things that people were talking about this year is sort of the decline of the mothership. Wizards of the Coast is sort of an information dissemination and gathering hub. And I think that is largely due to the fact that if you want to know what's going on in the Magic community, the subreddit is where it's at. Right. There's so much information going there. That's where all of like the best videos get posted and all like the stuff that has got the community riled up at the time and stuff like that. And the drama of Magic is important, right? Some people live for drama. Like they did a redesign, and I really think social media, by just how it gets information out there and makes information shareable, has really taken a hit to content serving websites like the Wizards of the Coast website. And I think you can track that onto a lot of different changes that have happened with their strategy for content.
So the way I feel, like they've told us in the past that like that we read all the comments, right? And that not just this year had I heard this from Wizards, employees and the promoters and publishers that people we've just met, like our friends like Blake and Gavin, we've had them on the PPR and stuff, and it's like, so you find out, and being on this podcast has been a bit of an experience for me. It's like, well, I'm a person who's on your screen maybe, but I also just like find time to like get on my phone and be like, what do they think, and read all the comments. So that we really like saw evidence of that this year. The one that I remember the most clearly was Historic as a format was announced. And it was also announced that there would be twice the price to the wild card historic cards. It was like if you wanted to make a single from a historic set, it would cost you twice as many wild cards. And the community like very quickly was upset about this.
Well, what the F?
Yeah, well, I mean, and I was part of it, and I remember even on this podcast,
yeah.
I like recommended that people tweet about it, and Graham immediately was like, "No, please don't do that. They've already got enough tweets. It's happening. Don't worry, Nelson. Calm yourself down." But we got to watch it. It was like, yeah, and it only took like 2-3 weeks before they turned that around and said like, okay, we're not going to do that. We're going to rescind that edict. And so I don't know. There's been a few things like that. So it's like some parts of the operation certainly seem like there's a push-pull. There's a negotiation going on through social media. So I don't know. I guess if you weren't already aware of that, this was an easy year to become aware of it.
That's true.
Yeah, well, like, I mean, I don't envy the people at Wizards who have to kind of drink from the fire hose of social media.
Right.
Like the forward-facing community management people who...
That's got to be a job.
Yeah, like you are the figurehead. And
Right.
then you realize the figurehead is the thing on the front of the ship that's constantly just getting like...
Buffeted.
Yeah, blasted by the storm. So, like, social media is very useful when the people I agree with are saying things, and less so when the people I think are who don't have good ideas are saying things and being listened to.
Right. Yes.
So I think overall,
Right? Like, I don't know how else to put it. Right?
Yeah. I mean, that's reductive, but it's true, right?
Yeah, like when people are using social media to demand accountability from Wizards of the Coast, which is entirely appropriate, that works out quite well. Even though, like, I would never in a million years want to be a community management person.
right. What's your opinion right now of how kind of well they're doing, the community managers and the people
the
who have
community
to
managers seem to be
handle
doing
and filter
great.
through all of the noise
Yeah.
of the
Right.
social media? I think overall they're doing quite well.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like the things we've seen, the reactions we've seen actually take place from Wizards because of social media seem like good ones as opposed to like wild and
Right, and-
unfortunate ones.
And like the guy who makes the creative director of Magic does a blog.
Is that Forsyth or Mark Rosewater?
Mark
Rosewater.
Rosewater?
Right, sorry.
Yeah, blog is a great like accessibility
Blogatog,
tool.
yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
like just him deciding to make himself available
Right.
all the time is great, right? And even if a lot of the things that Wizards does baffles or it frustrates me,
Well, here's the thing. I think
They-
it's sorry to cut you off.
No.
I think it's important that everyone remember the people who work the front lines, who are those community managers who put out some very funny tweets this year as well, I might add, are not the kind of they are the kind of people who will receive your ire rightly for poor decisions and things that you don't like, right? But they're not the people who made those decisions.
right?
Right? Their job is to take that feedback and funnel it up to the very wealthy person who pays other people to look at social media for them and give them the report. So I think whenever you are unhappy with the direction that something is taking, the civility, because the person, like, the person who you are mad at is not going to read what you have said, right? They will be given an aggregate summary, and they will say people are very angry about this. But you can be angry and polite to the people who do have to read that.
Okay. We did it. We got through that question.
Good
I'm
job.
proud of us.
Yeah.
So am I. 2019 saw the introduction of some new premium products. The collector's boosters, we had recently the secret layer. And in the past, we've had stuff like a lottery style system with masterpieces in Kaladesh and Battle for Zendikar. What are your thoughts on these premium costed products that we've seen this year?
I still have no idea how to disentangle collector's boosters from draft boosters and knowing what cards are available in what. I don't think that was a terribly great thing. I don't know why the storybook cards couldn't just be available in draft boosters. Or if they,
They
are,
were,
they
right?
are. Okay.
They are
good.
also, I think.
Yeah.
Like, but I don't know if the foils are like the collector's versions just had them, right?
No,
See, this is my problem.
I think, okay, my coworker told me that everything that comes in a collector's booster, you have except for the extended art, almost all the things that come in a collector's booster, you had a chance to get in the draft booster. Not the thing that comes in the brawl deck. I'm just going to cut myself off. It's too long. It takes too long. To
Okay.
Yeah, like I felt like I needed to
actually
come up with
learning.
a table.
Yeah, actually learning how to get each card that has a Throne of Eldraine expansion symbol does in fact take too long.
Yeah, and can I? Do you mind if I out you a bit?
Yeah.
Nelson in Friday Nights plays a game store employee. You literally still work at a game store.
I am a game store employee.
Right?
Yeah,
like
no, for sure.
It's literally your job to know this, and it's too complicated for you.
I mostly know the answer. I do mostly know it, but I don't want to spend the podcast talking about it.
See,
Right.
that's too okay. But my point's been made. No,
Yeah,
it's
like,
too
yeah,
complicated.
So there's that. I have another opinion. There's additional information about the premium products. So if we're going to talk about Collector's Booster, Mythic Edition, Secret Lair, Collector's Boosters at least you could buy at your
store,
game store.
yeah.
And I think on the year that you're going to put, the $10 million prize pool into Magic and you're going to put so many eggs into the arena basket, I think it's unfair to also be taking Magic consumer dollars out of the pockets of the LGS.
Yeah.
I think that's just kind of, I don't know, reprehensible.
Yeah, no, like the bread and butter of this
Kinda.
game is playing in person, right?
Yeah.
And your LGSs have to do that.
Yeah.
Right? Like that. If you can't support your LGSs, then your paper game is not long for this world.
Right.
It's called Magic the Gathering.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think it's fair to expect that the future of Magic, just as an arena product, is bright. Like Magic is a video game. It's not really fair. There's so many like really good video games that were meant to be video games, and I think Magic Arena and Magic Online will both continue to be awesome places where hardcore addicts or people who are like away deployed or just like working away and they're not in a place with an LGS or their LGS or whatever, still have an opportunity to play so they can stay involved. But as like a primary driver of why we play this game, it doesn't actually make sense no matter how good you make Arena look. And Arena looks great. It's a big success.
But I want
But like we need to still go and play in paper. Like
Yeah.
we need to play in person because that's what it is. That's what the game is.
yeah, like so like the fact that the Mythic Editions and the Secret
Lair,
Lairs
yeah.
weren't also just from the vault was kind of the gift,
Right,
To,
yeah.
to the LGS, right? And just not having it available through your LGS seems wrong to me.
Yeah, it was really sad and disappointing.
Yeah. Although, like, I guess just not having a limited number of them available, being able to just like log on to the store, having one day worked for me. Although I totally understand the people who are like, I don't have the money today, therefore I guess I don't get this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Sucks.
that's crappy.
Yeah, like it's a feel bad, and Wizards has been trying to go through several different iterations of how to get these things to people in a way that also, like, I guess drives engagement.
What about pre-ordering at your LGS?
Yeah,
Couldn't
I
you
mean,
do a
really good.
pre-order?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that could be a thing. Like not having the money to buy something is like a feel bad that happens regularly, no matter what model
Yeah.
you use. Like there's routinely people walk into Yellow Jacket and like, oh, there's a foil walking ballista, but I can't afford it or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever the card is. Like, oh, I like that. That
That's
pack foil you
capitalism.
have, but I can't have it. But they could have just said like, okay, Mythic Edition orders are going to close 2 weeks before the pre-release or whatever. We know that's going to contain these cards, and also you get a box, and it's going to cost this much. Go and pay your LGS. They're taking pre-orders, right? And then like
Right.
everyone who buys one, then they'll let their distributor know how many they need to get, or they'll let their WPN rep know how many they need to get, and then they'll show up on release day, and everyone who bought one can have one, right? And maybe the LGS will buy more, but they won't be able to buy infinity more because they're
Right.
really freaking expensive.
Yeah. Like I
So-
realize that has its own like supply chain management issues and stuff
Yeah.
like that, but at the same time,
Well, it's not like the supply chain management was perfect from the Wizard Store this year either on these products. Yeah, that was an interesting debacle.
yeah. James.
All right. I'm excited for this one because judging by the conversations that were happening before we started recording, I know there are some strong opinions here. How do you all feel about the Magic story in 2019?
Fartnoise.wav.
Oh, unleash me. Unleash me. All right. I feel like this will be a slight paraphrase of what I said before. But okay, they mistakes were made. Let's be polite. Mistakes were made with the Magic story. They did the big War of the Spark thing, and the novels were not received well because they had some structural issues, but you, as a person who does write things, you could not have paid me. You could have literally said to me, Kathleen, I will give you $1 million to write this book, and I probably would have said no, or can I do it under a pen name? Because I can't imagine the sort of interference between Hasbro, between Wizards of the Coast, between marketing teams, and between, like, what makes a good and intriguing story,
Right.
most of which does not go together,
Yeah.
right? I can tell you that. You know, what a horrible, like, I feel like any kind of novel is doomed to fail as a piece of art if it also has to be a piece of marketing.
Well, like it
not
just
a good
seemed
venue.
Like such a strange way to do it, right? It would be like if Disney had decided that the first movie they were going to make in the MCU was Infinity War, and they were going to hire somebody new to write it. Right?
Right. That'd be pretty intense and weird, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
and you were just
yeah.
like, what is even going on here? And all of
Yeah.
your favorite character gets a page and a half.
Right.
Uh,
As they just try to fit in like 50 characters.
And these,
Yeah.
and the blank new characters get way more attention because honestly, and I can tell you why, they're easier to work with. They don't have X plot notes and character notes that you're expected to hit that may not work with your vision or how the story is shaping out. When you write something, things grow very organically. Things change as you write. And that doesn't work very well with established marketing plans, right? You know, and like how characters are supposed to behave if you're just not feeling it. It's very difficult. And like, let's not forget, aside from the very bad, I'm not even to the worst part of the War of the Spark novels, but remember they had those prequels that were supposed to come out like via an email newsletter, but they came out like after
late,
War of the
right?
Spark, like
Yeah.
way late. So everybody was like, what happened to Niv Mizzet? What's going?
Yeah.
Why is Niv Niv was dead? Because that wasn't like apparent from the previous two sets, but it would have been apparent from those prequels if they had come out before. So there's scheduling issues, and then
Right.
the second War of the Spark came out book, and they did some incredible like. I mean, character assassination is too strong a word, but just like retconning and just like erasing of like a bunch of hard work that had been done. Mm-hmm. Of course, I refer to Nissa and Chandra.
yeah.
Yeah, we've spoken at length on this podcast about this issue already, but yeah, it's worth noting that there was like this whole debacle with Nissa's sexuality this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can
Or
I-
Chandra.
Chandra's,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
sure. Well, hey, man,
Yeah.
I mean, Nissa was also kind of put under the bus somehow
Well,
by
absolutely.
by omission,
As I
right?
say that,
Sorry,
yeah, I
meant
realize
Chandra,
that
I
I'm
didn't mean
incorrect.
Chandra. But yeah, also Nissa's, yeah.
Like,
Also,
Yeah.
they like just they had a really they had done so much good work with Jason Ixalan, and then
Right.
on it like, and I said this before, rehabilitating, bringing new life and new dimensions to a character that people are kind of sick of and kind of burnt out on and think is boring
That's hard work, right?
is very difficult, and that is honestly harder to do than setting up kind of a feel-good, seen it coming for a long time romance between two characters.
Right.
That's a rom-com. Those are actually pretty common. That's not hard to do. You just have to and they did a good job setting it up. And then they threw it away. But what makes me more upset is that they did a great job making Jason to a much more interesting, much more depth of character. Like, literally, I made a joke about this in Friday Nights, but you can tell what kind of women Jace likes now because of that story. And I think it's interesting. It gives him some very deep, like, that's a cool thing to know about someone.
Right.
Like, on some level, they're attracted to, like, scary women,
Right.
right? You know, like powerful women. Like, it's not just a thing like with Liliana using her mind magic. Like, Jace is into like the idea of a strong, independent, black, mana-aligned person, and like
Right.
so much good stuff going with Vraska, and then it all just got chucked under the bus. War of the Spark. That could have also been a really good story moment, and nothing came of it. That's worse. I think throwing that away was worse.
yeah.
I'm available to write things. Hit me on Twitter.
Maybe not for $1 million, but 2?
I mean, here's my pitch to Wizards
You've got
of the
a
Coast.
kid. $2 million.
Oh, yeah. Here's my pitch to
That's
Wizards
not
of the
what you
Coast.
get.
No, they wouldn't. Hire me, and I will come up with a set of 4 lovable planeswalkers that don't go to anything interesting, but go to all of the interesting magic locales. Like, this is like the B team, essentially, planeswalkers. And you
They're
can
all
make them
cats.
as diverse as you want, because, or I personally will, because they won't be like marketable, but you know what? It'll be fun, and I will get your story themes in there. But
All
that's
right.
it.
Yeah.
At me on Twitter.
For more about the 2019 story, read that Still Carry article. Find Still Carry on Twitter and read their article.
Yeah, for more about the 2020 story, don't, because they're not doing it.
Right.
Yeah, which is just removes glasses,
Well,
places forehead in hand.
just getting angrier and angrier, Cameron.
Yeah, it just feels petulant,
It does.
right? Like, well, you didn't like what we did with War of the Spark, so now you don't get anything.
You know what was fantastic about this year's story? The War of the Spark flavor text team. That set was flavor text home run. Mm-hmm. Silver Linings Playbook Nelson here with the. I'm going to try and bring us to the next question on a slight up note because I found one deep in the recesses of my brain.
Oh yeah, that just smoothed out all the muscle tremors I was experiencing.
You're welcome.
James, ask us a question where we won't be upset.
All right, that sounds good. Next question is about the pre-releases, which, yes, are returning for 2020.
All right.
And I do, in fact, I cannot tell you who is going to be on the Theros
Why not?
Beyond Death quite yet.
You know,
after Christmas, we're going to do it. It's kind of an awkward time of year where some of the folks are traveling, and
He knows, but he won't tell us.
nice if we are all together
know
and
too.
to be able to do it. Anyways,
I know, but I won't tell you.
soon. Hopefully very soon you will find out. But in the meantime, do you at all have any top moments from this year's PPRs? Do you remember? Can you remember this year's PPRs?
I suppose I'm contractually obligated.
Don't say it.
Being driven to the pit of despair.
Pocket bacon?
Pocket bacon.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm not sure if I've ever mentioned this before or if it was visible on camera, but the turn before Sydney Tappy Toeclaws resolved Niv Mizzet, I had a no escape in hand, and I decided, I looked at her board state, realized she was on all 5 colors. She had, in fact, worked quite hard to get herself onto all 5 colors with four lands in play and a mana dork, and I was like, she probably doesn't have Niv in hand. And decided to develop my board instead of holding up no escape.
I don't.
What are the
I
odds
don't
she
even
has Niv
hate
in
that.
hand?
Every
right?
turn with a counterspell, you're like, you have to weigh the risk of you
Exactly.
not using your mana. Like if your opponent just says go, are you further behind? You know,
Exactly.
it's
But like,
a question.
the pocket bacon despair was in part driven by the fact that I had been wrong.
Okay, you look back at that game,
Yeah,
and
and
you're
I was just like,
you're like, categorically, you're leaving that counterspell up for the rest of the game.
yeah.
Okay.
And then I think, I can't remember actually what happened first, whether the Nicol Bolas or the Niv Mizzet resolved first. But I definitely had a way to interact with it in hand that I decided that, well, it's probably fine this turn.
I'll make this 2/2 instead.
Yeah, I'll make a 2/2 instead, I think. Almost literally.
Yeah.
But,
Sorry.
I mean, it made for great television.
Oh my god. Like,
High point for television, maybe.
yeah.
Sydney's extremely charismatic.
Yes. She's a tornado of energy. Mm-hmm. She's like if a dog was a human. But I mean that in a good way, right? She's super positive and excited. Likes bacon.
Getting the best cosplayers in Magic in here has been like a real treat for me. I got to meet Olivia, and she put fairy wings on me. Behind scene, I didn't take any judge calls in fairy wings, but I enjoyed that part of the PPR a lot. I really liked getting to see her. I think that was the Eldraine pre-release, wasn't it? It was more recently.
Correct. Yes,
Yep.
that was the most recent.
Most recent one.
Yep.
She was Queen of Ice.
That's right. Yeah, I really liked that.
I just liked meeting all of the new people because I don't get out as much to conventions because we mentioned it. I have a child, so it's very hard for me to do extended traveling. And yeah, it's nice meeting people. But the best moment of the year is definitely Cam eating bacon.
Yeah. It just
Depression
sat in there
bacon.
like it was like eating a medicine ball.
Oh,
Oh man.
can't imagine.
But it was for everyone else's enjoyment.
Yeah, by the time you guys could play with the cards at home, Cam had finally pooped out that bacon. Took him a while.
Just in a long ribbon.
Undigested.
Yeah.
Somehow it reconstituted itself.
Yeah, just one of the things where you're like,
He brought his
I
laptop
guess
to the
so.
bathroom.
So you
Yeah.
just wrap your hand in toilet paper, get a good grip.
Okay,
It's like starting a lawnmower.
moving on.
Gross. Our friend.
That one's not our fault. At least
Yeah.
that's all Sydney. That's
know.
all your poop joke.
Oh,
Tappy.
I'm
There
lying.
you go.
Fair.
Yeah.
Our friend the professor has asked a question, which we actually can't answer But I'm going to ask it anyways, and then chain it into the next question. He is curious about personal preferences between Command Fest and Magic Fests. None of us here have been to a Command Fest, have we?
Wrong.
No, yeah, you have been.
Yeah.
You were at...
Adam and I went to Command Fest.
You went to Seattle. That is correct.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I got to see Olivia there again, actually.
Thoughts of Command Fest versus Magic Fests?
So, yeah, my experience at Command Fest was different than most of my experience at Magic Fest, although it's not entirely true. So I went to judge 2 or 3 days at GP Vegas, and then on the Sunday, I just hung out and was a member of LRR, did draft with LRR. So that was kind of like, that was similar to my experience at Command Fest. But Command Fest was great. It was just very chill. Like the vibe in the room, like there was no main event with like a big prize, so there wasn't like this kind of like buzzing hive race feeling that you sort of get on the kind of day 1, day 2, especially of a GP, where there's just like, 800 nerds battling for supremacy, and there were still people who cared about their game and they're having fun, like, and that's the same for both. But yeah, the Command Fest vibe, like, it was noticeably different walking into that room, and the time just evaporated. Like, I just played a few Battle Bond drafts every day, and then we were kicked out. Like, the hall was closing, so I had a much, I would say, easier time. Typically at Magic Fest, I'm judging too, so I wasn't judging at the Command Fest I went to. But when I am playing or hanging out at a Magic Fest, usually like I feel a bit more structure and stress to my day. Like, often if I'm playing the main event. So yeah, it's like apples and oranges.
It seems like I haven't been, but it seems like it's the Magic the Gathering equivalent of a board game convention, which I have been to, and which are super fun because you go to the board game convention and literally the day's activities are go find cool board games you haven't played yet with new people and just play board games and have fun. That's the only goal. There's no prizes at the end of it or anything, right? So it's just,
yeah,
neat.
Ben Wheeler was telling me about his experience at DC.
Right, and that was just last weekend.
Yeah,
both Bens, right?
Yeah, Ben.
Yeah.
And he said, I mean, Ben's a hard-nosed Magic player as anyone I've ever known.
Ben Wheeler, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And he said it was a great experience because there was no tournament grinding feel to it. It was everyone was kind of there to play this format, which is explicitly about not winning at all costs.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
The journey is more the point of Commander, right?
And that sounds great to me because I'm not a big Commander player. I don't really enjoy the format that much, but I really want to play that experience.
Yeah.
Well, I think both Brawl and Oathbreaker are good ways to get at it without entrenching yourself in like the hour-plus long game of Commander, and there was some of that going on. I was a little sad at Seattle the Oathbreaker event didn't fire, but I got to play some games anyway. Yeah.
Like my last 2 games of Commander, the ones that I played at GP Las Vegas, both were like, in the casual area, and I guess I didn't have correct expectations for what that meant because I spent both matches being ground out by Derevi prison decks.
Okay, yeah, so you're just like sitting there doing nothing for half an hour.
I'm sitting there with all my lands tapped out. They can't untap, and I'm taking 2
right
every turn from like Derevi just being like, swing for 2. I'm like, okay. Tap all your stuff. Okay, I pass the turn.
I feel like at that point if I got into a situation like that at Command Fest, I'd be like, cool, I'm going to concede and go find a different game. Congratulations, you win.
And
right? Like, I don't have time for that.
I don't even think Derevi is like a top tier competitive commander, right?
I don't
because
know,
people were just like, oh, I'll just pull up my Derevi deck. It's fun. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Command Fest. Yet another step in the eternal journey to define fun.
Okay, I can make you an absolute promise. I would like to go to a Command Fest next year in 2020, and I can make you an absolute promise. What I will bring is that mono black vampire deck from Game Nights. I will get all of the cards because when we recorded it, I did not have all of the cards because not all of them had come out, so they had been lent to me by Game Nights. And that was an Aristocrats brew that Cameron mostly did for me.
I'm so glad it worked out because
very fun.
The commander I would like to brew now is Anya.
Oh, right.
Anya Falconwrath, the Madness card. And then I was looking at all the Madness cards, and I was thinking, there are 4 of these that are good. But maybe I can make some kind of Pox deck that like Anya is also here, but
Right.
it mainly plays cards that are good from the graveyard or good when discarded.
Right.
And then you play symmetrical effects,
Yeah.
which are always fair.
Always fair.
Always fair.
Balance is a symmetrical card. It's right in the name, and
Exactly.
it's fair.
I do actually want
Janky
to.
decks only at Command Fest.
I'm gonna jump into this
Yeah.
this particular discussion actually about Command Fests and say that I feel like Wizards, Channel Fireball, the history of Grand Prix, they've kind of overcomplicated and kind of messed up the naming schemes. I don't think there should be a Command Fest. I think that there should be a Magic Fest without a Grand Prix. And I think that a Magic Fest should be a fun place where you can go to play Commander or Battle Bond or the convention draft booster, the mystery booster,
have
or
standard 8-person queues as well.
sure,
whatever.
any Magic that you want to
Yeah.
play.
Or maybe there's a beach queue as well. Like maybe there's a mini main event.
I wouldn't even say no. I wouldn't even say no
No.
competitive Magic
Sure.
because when you perfectly nailed it is when you have these competitive events, you have this feeling in the air that exists only at those.
Sure.
Yeah, you
So-
scrub out, so I guess I'll go do the side effects with the plebs. It's
Yeah,
like,
remove the Grand Prix, make the Grand Prix circuit its own thing, and maybe there's less of them because I don't think there needs to be as many Grand Prix as there are Magic Fests, and a Magic Fest should be a convention for Magic the Gathering, and so much better than what we're currently getting.
with vendors and like an artist's alley and stuff like
And like
that.
those exist at Magic Fest now, but they exist in what they do is it's just a big box. It's a big room, everything's in it. It just doesn't work. It needs to be a convention. It needs to have spaces for you to go and experience what you want to experience. You can go to Artist Alley, but Artist Alley doesn't necessarily need to be right beside where everybody's actually playing Magic.
In fact, it shouldn't be.
It definitely shouldn't be. Panels should be a thing. Game shows should be a thing, but they shouldn't exist on the floor and fight with a PA system.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So I would love to see the Magic Fest just morph into a probably like I could see maybe like at the scale that I want to see them happening, it probably wouldn't work to have them happen every weekend, kind of like they do now. Not quite every weekend, but there's a lot. Maybe, once or twice a month on wherever in the world they need to be. But that's what I would like to see.
So it's
And then just-
feasible for most people to go like once a year or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Seattle. I can get to Seattle for Magic Fest.
Something like that.
I would also just like more Canadian ones.
Yeah, Vancouver Magic Fest. Vancouver's an expensive city to host events in, unfortunately.
Yeah, I guess that's why a couple of years ago it was between Christmas and New Year's.
Yep.
Yep.
Because it was the
That was last year.
only
That was the
affordable time.
worst.
Yeah, I guess there's the joke where you can look at the list of Magic Fests and get a weather map.
Yeah.
So you can tell when the weather is absolutely miserable because that's when the
That's
convention
where the
centers are
convention,
cheap.
the Hot Atlanta
Yeah.
Magic Fest,
And, like,
the
Vegas in
Vancouver,
August?
yeah, Vegas in August,
and then probably like East Coast of the United States in fall when it's hurricane season. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like the Midwest in January.
This ties into I can't remember whose tweet it was. It was a pro player who's got a great Twitter following. So sorry, I forgot which one of you it was, but someone was just like, play the game, see the world, and it's just like the pictures of the front of the convention center and the picture of the hotel lobby and the picture of a restaurant, and then it's just like those like in succession in all these
Yeah.
different cities.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
That's the weird truth, especially I find when you're judging. Like some of the Grand Prix I've traveled to, it's like we try to make sure, it's like you're a car full of friends or whatever, and you go to Seattle and you're like, okay, and we're gonna go eat downtown this night, and then we're gonna make sure we wander around, do some tourist stuff. But like if you're judging, often it's just like there's only time to like hit the hotel, sleep, get up, go to the convention
Right.
center, grab something to eat, and then fall asleep, and then like do it again because the days are pretty long.
It's like that montage in Fight Club where he's just
Right.
like going from airport, like it largely like indistinguishable airport hotels
Yeah,
to aircraft to airport to hotel.
right. To do that corporate job where
Yeah.
he's flying around. Yeah,
We
we had thoughts about this one.
Yeah.
And James, interesting opinion
Good-
there
that's
too.
a really good-
I
that's
just
really
want
good
to say,
feedback.
like, to maybe if we're gonna move on to the next question, we have a bunch of interesting thoughts, and obviously CFBE is still working it out because Command Fests were introduced late, like they were introduced third quarter or whatever. They just figured out from the success of the Command Zone, maybe this could be its own thing, and they've only done 3 of them.
They've
right?
done 3, and CFB didn't even get all 3.
Oh, right. One of them was run by Pastimes.
One's
wasn't it?
Pastimes, and the one that Ben and Ben just went to was Star City. Right. So
Right, okay.
So CFB has their contract for Magic Fests, and I believe that will continue into 2020. But as far as I know, Command Fests going into 2020, I would be led to believe that those will not just be CFB alone, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess if you're trying out a new event, you give it to a bunch of different people and see who
does
has
it
good
best.
ideas.
Yep.
Yeah. I just wanted to point out that clearly, like, you know, the OP at Wizards and from CFB and the other big TOs, it's like, this isn't entirely figured out. Obviously,
yeah,
they know
absolutely.
that they're trying to improve and trying to bring new products
Yep.
as far as conventions. So that's exciting.
Also, Kathleen, I thought you had one more thing to say.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I don't remember what it was.
Oh,
All right.
Long live Blue Black.
I got our final question.
Okay.
all right.
Which is, how do you feel about Magic going into 2020?
I want to be optimistic.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm a limited player, fundamentally, right? And they've been getting better on the average at making limited sets. Occasionally you get one that you're not very interested in, or that the bots don't draft well on Arena. But generally they're getting better at making the limited environment engaging and interesting.
Yeah.
So
5 booster pack sets this year, right? Modern Horizons, Ravnica Allegiance, War of the Spark, 2020, and Throne.
Yeah.
yes.
And I think all of them were good at limited. Like the Throne blue deck being too good thing was weird, but it's just
Well, I mean,
it was
that's-
like kind of a blip.
That was a bot thing.
It was a blip.
Yeah.
It was
you know,
not the same in
draft
paper.
and paper, and even if you go in Arena now, it's
Yeah.
fine. And Throne, really interesting limited set.
Yeah, I
And-
really enjoyed it.
And War of the Spark, weird again.
Yeah, like
Not my
But it's going to
favorite.
be some people's favorite.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
And it was
know.
interesting and different. And then I thought, we didn't mention it much, but I actually thought Core 2020 was one of the best core sets.
My
to
card
draft.
was from Core 2020.
Right,
It
right.
was
Yeah.
it was honestly like it was
Yeah.
good. It was interesting,
Yeah.
but not like flashy.
But that draft format was great. Like it was, you know, it was a core set, so it was easy to get into, but it was deep.
Yeah, like it had that
A lot
elemental
of-
deck.
Yeah,
with-
exactly.
Yeah.
In like a few colors, and splashing was not impossible because there were the dual lands, and there was just a lot going on. Interesting synergies in 2020.
yeah. 20 honestly, the play design team has been really good for Magic the Gathering, I think. I think everything's been like very the sets have been like the quality's been trending up. It's been a while since we had like a remember Battle for Zendikar
Sure.
kind of situation
Yeah.
where just one color was really bad and it warped draft because of it.
Right.
Right? Like we didn't really have problems like that this year. So I'm honestly like, as far as like the state of playing the game goes, I am like full 2 devil horns in approval of whatever is happening.
And I guess
We're going back to Theros. That's
Do you-
sick.
yeah,
like,
what do you-
the problems have been that like the problems for constructed players I think has been that some of the cards are just really 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 disproportionately good, like Oko,
Right.
Yeah.
or Urza,
Yeah. Well,
or
well,
Hogat.
What do you think of the plan from the designers to, and they really did it this year, not for the first time, but a lot this year, to print cards that might be too powerful and fix standard with bans?
I understand the frustrations with that when you pick up your playset of Okos because you're a competitive player.
Right.
You're here to win tournaments. That is the objective of the game, is to win the game. Right? Nobody can fault you for that. And then having it banned sucks.
Right.
Right? That is a big feel bad, because you're not only like, oh man, I can't play the deck that I like, or the deck that I'm comfortable piloting anymore, the deck that I win with anymore, but I'm out X dollars.
Right.
That sucks. Mm-hmm. That's brutal.
Curiously, like the amount of like, you know, aftermarket value lost per card on the banned cards this year wasn't maybe as dramatic as you might originally think. Like, you know, both Oko and Once Upon a Time went through this interesting sort of like steps down as they got like banned from Standard and then banned from Pioneer as well. And then after this, like, and each one they went down a little bit, but they didn't like entirely like poof, like disappear entirely. Like I think Oko's close to his pre-release price right now or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The constructed format I play is Highlander, and I don't
Right.
play it very much, but you know,
And we don't ban anything.
yeah, like nothing gets banned in it. So
Yeah.
you know, cool. Printing powerful cards is interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it makes the format more lively.
Right.
Powerful cards are fun to play with,
Yeah.
right?
And having them printed and having them banned is bad.
Right.
Feel bad.
So, yeah,
but
these are the main two, I think, poles, right?
Yeah.
Of the sort of current philosophy of making fun and interesting,
Exciting.
Yeah.
and
Exciting.
what was the R again?
Oh,
repeat? No.
replayable.
Replayable, yeah. I was thinking like repeat engagement or something. But yeah, replayable cards in every pack is like, okay, we got the feel bad of like you might spend $200 or $300 on a playset of cards and then it's banned out from under you versus like
That was
you want to
awesome.
play these cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So there's like it comes at this price, but maybe it's worth.
Well, here's the thing. Wizards is trying to find the balance between these cards are too powerful and then we have to ban them and then a certain subset of people get angry and this is our spendiest, whaliest subset of people.
Yeah.
Versus this set is boring and the average
Nobody cares,
player
right?
doesn't care about it and their friends aren't telling them to play it because it's super fun and ridiculous. And so like I like a dull, like a dull set where nothing is exciting and cool and powerful probably doesn't sell as well.
Well, like
Yeah.
unstable. Probably had some of the most powerful cards I've ever played with in any limited environment in it.
Sure. Yeah. Some
it
messed
was-
up stuff you can do in that draft format.
It was awesome. It was
Yeah.
fun to play. It was exciting. It was replayable. It was some sweaty magic with some difficult choices to make every turn.
Yeah.
Sweaty
and-
magic is the perfect way of describing that set.
Yeah, right? It felt great. I got demolished. Like my traditional role in the pre-release, which has evolved organically, is just getting dumpstered by somebody, but doing it dramatically. And Unstable had those moments, right? And it was perfect for that because none of those cards matter.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right? They don't go into modern. They don't go into standard. They don't go like you can agree among your play group to play them in Commander. There was that thing last year where they unbanned all silver bordered cards for a month, and we're like, go nuts in Commander.
Right.
But like if you could have that experience all the time of playing those extremely powerful cards, that would be great, and not having to worry about the consequences of them all
Right.
would also be great.
Yeah. I
But
think
I don't envy anyone who has that job of trying to balance fun, exciting, interesting cards with does this bust every constructed format ever?
right.
Well, and it's just like every time that they print a new set, the complexity of figuring out does this bust every constructed format set ever? Like it's like I can just imagine it, and it's just like you know the scene in It's Always Sunny where what's his face is just like the connections.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what that must be like when they're like, wait, no, we can't print that because then this card in modern and then recursive loop, right?
Right.
Right.
And just like the series of nerfings that you would need to go through to like fix a card that was too broken in one format. And it's like, we'll just ban it in modern. The card
yeah.
works great in the set.
Right.
If it's a problem, if people figure out this weird edge case, we'll ban it in modern. I think that's just easier for them. Right?
Yeah, we're gonna look back and like next year there's gonna be more of the same, in terms of fun, interesting, replayable, and exciting cards. Right. So some of them are probably gonna get banned again, and maybe we're just gonna kind of accept it. And if you think about like the sort of money you lose or lost value, it's like maybe that's just still acceptable if you're enjoying your hobby. It's like that money you put in by those cards, like you weren't really getting that back anyways.
Or maybe.
Right?
Or
This
maybe.
is your money you put in your hobby.
People will get wise to Wizards like banning of certain powerful cards, and the prices won't skyrocket as much because people will be wary.
Yeah, maybe-
right? They'll be just like, hold off.
This card's too good. I'm not touching it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not like sinking $120 into a playset of that if it's going to get banned next week. Right?
I actually had
You
the
know?
experience this year of like just playing Once Upon a Time in Pioneer, and this is before it got banned in Standard, and after playing it in Pioneer, I hadn't even played it in Standard, but I watched games and stuff, and I just was like, I'm selling these.
Yeah.
You're like, well, I
selling
see
these
the
now.
end.
There's no way.
Yeah, I got that ache in my knees.
And then-
I can feel it coming.
And then weirdly, I rebought them, and then they got banned in Pioneer.
Oh.
I thought they were going to get banned in Pioneer a week earlier or something, so then I thought it was safe. It's fine.
But like
Both sides.
Theros Beyond Death, we're getting interesting mechanics in it. I'm a fan of sagas now.
Yeah.
Dominaria
Yeah.
Bringing
Bringing hard on
sagas back is
sagas.
great. Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that set. I know Adam loved Theros,
Favorite set.
and I trust him. Right? Devotion was a good mechanic. Enchantment Matters is a good mechanic. So I'm optimistic. And then we're also what's coming out after Theros After Death?
Ikoria, Lair of Beasts or something, right? Land of Behemoths.
Right.
World of Big Creatures.
That's where Kiora's from, isn't it?
Maybe
No,
they have the
she's
same
from-
letters
no,
in
she's
their
from
name.
Zendikar.
Yeah, she is from Zen.
But she's in Ikoria, isn't she? No?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Stay tuned to find out. In 2020,
We'll read the
We're
read
gonna-
the comments and find out.
we're going to continue to be brought to you by cardkingdom.com. Let them know in their little spot there. When you buy their stuff, you might be buying Magic singles anywhere in the world, or you might be buying sealed product of any kind in the States, or you might be buying out of print sealed product anywhere in the world. But type in /LRR at the end of cardkingdom.com and let them know that we sent you. Button, please. You'll get one that says, is it Ikoria or Hiora? Potato on a giant button with a blue ribbon.
It points down.
Yes, this podcast has also been brought to you by you, the lovely patrons, at patreon.com / loading ready run. Without you, we couldn't do all the things we do. We really appreciate your
And
support.
pay our hydro bill.
That's right, all of our bills.
And if you're not familiar with hydro, in British Columbia we generate hydroelectricity.
So that's hydro
True.
is our power bill.
Yeah.
Even though it refers to water. Because
I
we're all
understand.
blue mages here.
I understand Americans think hydro is something else.
Right. Okay. So
Canada.
from Tap Tap Concede, I've been Nelson.
I've been Kathleen.
Pikachu.
See you next year.
Bye. We're waving.